Today, we're diving into this really fascinating concept that kind of flips our whole understanding of what it means to be an adult on its head. It's this idea that real maturity has nothing to do with how many candles were on your last birthday cake, but something way, way deeper.
So let me ask you a simple question. Are you, legally speaking, an adult? You know, depending on where you're from, if you're 18 or 21, the answer is pretty much a straightforward yes. It's a clear line in the sand. You can vote, you can sign a contract, you're on your own. Simple, right?
Okay, but then there's the follow-up question. Are you truly mature? See, that's where it gets a little more complicated. I mean, we all know people who are technically adults, but their choices, well, maybe not so adult. And it's that gap, that space between being grown up and being mature that we're going to get into today.
You know, a lot of us, myself included sometimes, make this mistake of thinking that being grown up is the same thing as being mature. But, as we're about to see, they're two totally different things. And there's this one specific, really powerful term that helps us get to that deeper level of competence.
And this verse from the Quran just cuts right to the chase. It makes this incredibly important distinction. It's saying, look, a person can reach physical adulthood, what it calls marriageable age, but still not have Rüşd, that true maturity you need to actually handle your own business.
And this chart just lays it out perfectly. On one hand, you've got Büluğ. Think puberty. It's all physical, it's biological, it's an age-based milestone. But on the other side, you have Rüşd, and that is all about competence. It's intellectual, it's moral, and it's about whether you can genuinely manage your own life. So, one is just a stage you pass through, the other is a state you have to achieve.
So, let's really dig in here. What in the world is Rüşd? Well, the best way to understand it is to look at the word's original meaning, which honestly paints a really powerful picture.
Just think about that metaphor for a second. Imagine your life is a journey, and you're traveling through this vast, sometimes confusing desert. Rüşd isn't just about getting older on that journey. It's about having that internal compass, that sense of direction, to find and stick to the right path so you don't get lost.
So here's the bottom line. Becoming Rüşd, or achieving Rüşd, isn't just about being bigger or older. It means you've actually found your way. You have this sort of mental and moral clarity that's guiding your every move.
And this idea is just so rich with meaning. In the Quran, it's used to talk about everything from literally finding the right path to making good, sound decisions. It's about being able to tell right from wrong. And ultimately, it's about grasping a deeper kind of wisdom, understanding the why behind what's happening in your life.
Okay, so if Rüşd is the goal, how in the world do you get there? Well, it turns out it's not just one thing. It's more like a combination of three essential pillars that have to stand together.
And here they are. To be truly mature, to be Rashid, you need to bring these three elements together. It all starts with vahi, or having correct knowledge, getting the right info. Then you have to process that information through sam akıl, or sound reason. And finally, all that has to show up in doğru davranış, or right conduct. It's this perfect blend of knowing, thinking, and doing. You absolutely need all three. If one is missing, the whole thing falls apart.
Now, what's really cool is that this idea doesn't just stop with us as individuals. You can actually scale this whole concept of Rüşd up to look at the maturity of, say, an institution or even a whole country.
Yeah, the idea is that just like a person can be immature, a whole group of people or a system can be immature too. And there's actually a history of applying this idea, especially in education, where the goal wasn't just to teach facts, but to guide students toward genuine maturity.
So historically, they really put this into practice. The Ottoman Empire, for example, had these Rüşdiye schools, and their whole purpose was to help students build this intellectual and moral competence. And then if you scale that up even more, you get the idea of a Rashid state, a mature state. And that's a state that has found its way by building itself on core principles like justice and putting the best people in charge, and of course, the rule of law.
Okay, so let's bring this all back home, back to us. How can we think about our own personal journey toward Rüşd? Well, the source breaks it down into three really practical areas we can look at for our own development.
So you can think of your journey to personal maturity in these three key categories. At the foundation, you've got doctrinal maturity. That's your core beliefs, your worldview. And that's supported by moral maturity, which is all about your ethics, and intellectual maturity, which is what drives your decisions. The point is, they all have to be working together.
So what does that actually look like? Well, doctrinal maturity means your beliefs are really yours. You've thought about them, you've questioned them, you haven't just inherited them. Moral maturity is about integrity.
acting ethically in your business, with your family, in everything. And intellectual maturity, that's the engine for the other two. It's your ability to make wise, sound judgments.
So we kind of end up right back where we started, but now with a totally new way of looking at it. Maturity, this idea of Rüşd, it's not a finish line you cross when you turn 18. It's a direction. It's a path you have to consciously choose to walk down every single day. And so the real question isn't, how old are you? It's, are you on the path?